Welcome to the virtual college exploration for all North Carolina and South Carolina students. Sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type questions to your presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at CACRAO.org, CACRAO.org. The presentation is being recorded and will be available within a week at the same website, CACRAO.org. I'd like to turn it over to our presenters now.
Awesome. Well, good morning, everybody. We're super excited to have you here. Give me 1 second as I share my screen. But my name is Paul Willabortza. I'm a first-year admissions counselor at UNC Wilmington, and I'm joined by a couple of awesome panelists today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves here in just a second. But we were really excited today to join you all and talk a little bit about undergraduate research. We know that many of you all may be thinking about completing undergraduate research and already have lofty aspirations about developing into a potential career. So we wanted to highlight a little bit about the opportunities that we have at our university and a little bit of the tips and tricks we can give to make sure you're ensuring yourself to get into those opportunities once you're on our campuses. But I'll turn it over to my other panelists here and let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Emmeline Greer. I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Admission at Appalachian State University. In this role, I primarily serve students in Wake, Durham, and Johnston County.
Good morning. My name is Adam Ray. I am an Assistant Director in the Office of Admission at Western Carolina University, working specifically with first-year or freshman populations. I'm happy to be a part of this group this morning.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll jump right into it here. Before we start talking specifically about all of our individual institutions, we wanted to kind of just introduce and set the scene with defining what undergraduate research is to begin with. And I just wrote a few bullet points here that we'd like to cover. First and foremost, undergraduate research is really a premier applied learning opportunity. And so it allows students to get very hands-on opportunities to learn from professionals and faculty that are experts in their field. And so oftentimes this has some great kind of corollary effects that come with that, which we'll touch on here in a second. But secondly, it's not just for science majors. I think a common kind of misassumption is that, if you're interested in, research, you have to be in science or math or engineering, something like that. When in reality, research can be anywhere. And it can be done on any topic, and importantly, it should probably be done on any topic. So we'll kind of touch on a little bit of our examples today. We have a lot of STEM focuses, of course, but we have also lots of examples that are not in our traditional science fields, and make sure that if you're interested in something like that, you can certainly do research outside of those disciplines as well. Additionally, research can happen anywhere. We're obviously going to kind of highlight our 3 campuses today, but hopefully as you go throughout your college search and college application process, look for universities that do offer this if it's something that's interested in you. I know I'll also touch on opportunities that you can do research with partnerships with our institutions, across the country or even across the globe. So know that it's not only limited to the 3 of our institutions that are talking today. And finally, some of the kind of the snowball effect that comes with these research opportunities is awesome, professional development, professional networking that you'll get with faculty members, staff members on your campus that then connect you with experts and job, opportunities outside of your university. And also developing skills for any of these potential jobs or potential graduate programs for those that might be thinking about going into a specific graduate school program right after your undergrad, or going into a specific career that requires a research background. Those are, of course, skills that you'll get out of undergraduate research as well. But I think I'm going to turn it over here to Emmeline, and she'll talk a little bit about App State.
Yeah. So first, before I talk about all the fun things about research, I want to talk a little bit about who we are at App State. Appalachian State is nestled within the Blue Ridge Mountains in Boone, North Carolina. We have a total student population of around 20,000 students. We have over 150 different majors to choose from, so there is a path for everyone here. with some of our most popular programs being in business, education, psychology, sustainability, and nursing, all of which have room to work with our faculty members with undergraduate research. 98% of our full-time faculty do have their terminal degrees, so you're going to be working with the best of the best. Just kind of going off of what Paul said, and we've been working with our Office of Research. One thing that they always encourage us to talk to students is why you should participate in research. And Paul already talked about this a little bit with having our students engaged. We want you guys to create your community at App State. That's really important for us at App State, is that community development. So that's a big thing first and foremost. Research involvement is a great start to this. But second, research is fun. Students and faculty have so much fun getting to learn more and to dive a little bit more into their interests and get that experience together. And third and finally, like Paul said, it creates these long-term relationships. App State is known for our development with our student and faculty relationships, and this is even more so presented whenever they have the opportunity to work with research. But today I want to talk to you a little bit more about our unique opportunities associated with our specific location in the mountains, which is sustainability. So it is important for all of our students to have hands-on learning experiences. Our sustainability research farm permits our students to have this encounter. On this farm, students are going to be able to witness firsthand what it looks like to practice sustainable farming methods. And this is a small-scale farm which utilizes the solar power opportunities. Many students choose to not only complete their classwork and lab work on this farm, but to also dive into that research and to spend that additional time focusing on that. We all welcome students to get involved with learning more about sustainability through our research farm. We also have really cool on-campus organizations which incorporate research into their hobbies. One of our most popular on-campus organizations is Team Synergy. Team Synergy is a multidisciplinary, student-led and student-driven research project. They research the most advanced technology and utilize those solar power car competitions as a platform to talk more about sustainable transportation technologies. Students on this team come from such a diverse range of departments, which include physics, sustainable technology, business, music, and even computer science. So you definitely do not have to be in the sustainability major to be a part of this team or our different opportunities such as the research farm. Their solar model car that they most recently created is actually featured in the North Carolina Science Museum in Raleigh, North Carolina. But students can dip their toes into research and have fun with it as well, and that's just one great example of that. But also along the lines of sustainability, the research of our students and faculty have so improved our campus. And one way to show you this is through our wind turbine that's pictured right here on our screen. It's named the Broyhill 100. The wind turbine has become such an iconic symbol of App State's commitment to our renewable energy. When this wind turbine was installed, the facility had the largest wind turbine in the state of North Carolina. It is currently situated at the highest point on campus and stands over 152 feet tall. Funding for this turbine came from our student-backed ASU Renewable Energy Initiative and our local New River Light and Power Company. But still today, students can get involved through data collection on sustainability projects such as this wind turbine. This is such a great introduction to research and truly shows the wonderful things that come out of our commitment to research at App State. So how can your prospective university support your research aspirations? And I think this is something that you should definitely do some digging on. It's so important to see that support. We want to ensure that you have all the required resources available. We have dedicated Office of Research, which is specifically focusing on these opportunities. But also just want to let you know that with each department, so each academic department or college is going to have allotted funds, scholarships, and resources available for their designated students. But at App State, we have research grants. These research grants help to fund students to do research with faculty members. The grant can be designed to contribute to costs such as presentations that may need to be printed off, all those additional costs that are outside of the classroom for this research. We also have travel grants, and travel grants are utilized for students who desire to travel to go and present their research at national conferences. We also have international travel grants, which is typically that higher funding since it is more extensive travel cost-wise. Undergrad research assistantships are very popular on our campus, but what does this program allow for students to do? Students are awarded $1,000 per semester to work on research as their primary job. This allows our students to truly dedicate all of their time to their research and to be compensated for this dedication. There is an application process for this program, and it is competitive. Each year, typically, they select around 20 students for that program. So definitely look into opportunities such as that to see how you can be awarded and supported for your dedication to research. But what is going on in the research world at App State? Last year, some of our faculty members were a part of the National Geographic Mount Everest team. Their team trekked Mount Everest to install the world's highest weather station. This expedition's intent was to better understand the effects of climate change. So the climate change affects the water quality and the supply in the Himalayan water system. And they really wanted to dive deep into that and study that. But I encourage you, if you've not already seen this documentary through National Geographic, to definitely check out their Expedition Everest journey. It's so cool and so informative to see all the different professors from various universities participate in this project. We also have numerous other faculty members that are recognized for their outstanding research. Many of our faculty members do have their research published within notable academic articles, one of which is our professor within the public health department. And he researched how to best boost your immune system. And he was recently featured in the Time magazine for his work. But as an undergrad student, you can work directly with these incredible faculty members who have experienced such great success within their research endeavors. Each year, we typically host a celebration for student research and creative endeavors. At this event, students get to share their research that they've completed, and they have their abstracts published in our research publication. Typically, every year, we receive around 250 abstracts where students submit those research projects. And a lot of which that are contributed is our communication studies research, which is just really cool to see all those various opportunities for research, not just specifically in STEM, as Paul said before. But research is submitted from all of those programs. Our students get so excited about getting to present their findings in front of their peers, as well as their faculty members that they've been working with. But if you're interested, I definitely encourage you guys to reach out to our Office of Research, as they can talk to you further about the many opportunities that are available for you. Feel free to take a screenshot or a picture of this slide because their contact information is right at the bottom, and it is osr@appstate.edu.
All right, so transitioning to what research looks like at Western Carolina University, I wanted to share some fast facts about who we are as an institution. We sit on a 600-acre campus in beautiful Cullowhee, North Carolina. We have over 120 majors and minors that applicants can pursue. We have over 170 student clubs and organizations, some of which have research emphasis and focus. We're a public university in the UNC system, and we just crossed over that 12,000 student enrollment number for this current cycle. One of the things, the approach I wanted to take in terms of research at Western is this idea of this interdisciplinary research approach. I'm going to spend some time talking about various opportunities that our undergraduate populations have had the chance to experience in terms of their undergraduate research from all of the disciplines and majors that we offer as an institution. One of the premier opportunities that we as a campus host every single academic year is the WCU Research and Scholarship Conference. This typically is an event that takes place in the spring semester, and students have worked on research in the summer prior to the beginning of the academic year, or even the fall, or even leading up to that event. And it's across all of our majors, all of our disciplines, as I mentioned. Students get the opportunity to present in our Ramsey Center or our basketball arena. They have poster presentations. Sometimes they do include actual presentations, but more unlikely it'll be a poster, just what they have learned through that process and their findings. This is actually an opportunity for graduate students as well to showcase their work if they would like to do so. And it's well attended. I participated in this as an undergraduate student, but it was under a different name. But I still had the opportunity to present my work. I was a history major in undergrad, so I didn't have a poster. I wrote a paper and ultimately talked about it in front of a panel of individuals, but it was still rewarding nonetheless. The next item that I would like to emphasize is our National Conference on Undergraduate Research. Now, this is a conference that rotates from a campus in any given academic year across the entire United States. Our honors college, which was recently renamed due to some very generous donors to the Brinson Honors College, is the primary hub for this particular opportunity. Over the past decade, we have placed in the top 10% of those undergraduate students presenting at this particular opportunity. I mentioned that it was a United States focus all across the nation event. And so one of the things that I benefited from as a student at Western through this unique opportunity was having the chance to have funding to both Utah and Wisconsin to present 2 separate undergraduate research papers that I had the chance to write as a history major. As I mentioned, funding I secured through the Honors College, but I was also able to benefit from funding from the department level in my program in history. On one particular occasion, not necessarily linked with NCUR or the National Conference on Undergraduate Research, but from another opportunity to present my paper elsewhere. This was a fantastic opportunity, and I've only heard positive reflections and experiences from students who participate. I mentioned it's interdisciplinary, so I was in a room full of science majors talking about World War II. I had no clue what they were talking about, and they really had no clue what I was talking about, but we learned a lot from each other, which was at the end of the day what we wanted to achieve. The summer undergraduate research program is a unique opportunity for those individuals who are current students. If they have networked with a faculty member, had the chance to create a project or even expand upon the research done of a faculty member, they can have the chance to stay here in Cullowhee in the summer, continue that work with that professor or that mentor, and have a stipend along with it, as well as housing. So you can stay here, conduct your research, get that beneficial experience, and enjoy a summer in Cullowhee. One unique facet of undergraduate research at Western is our National Science Foundation, or the LEARN program that we partner with. It is actually a transfer-focused initiative. So if there's anyone participating in this session today or listening to this session that is in a dual enrollment situation and is looking to do the transfer pathway, this could be a very, very beneficial opportunity for you if you're looking to come to Western Carolina University. There is an emphasis on the STEM-related fields. This is what I was able to pull from student experiences as well as what's listed on our actual university website. The SoCon Undergraduate Research Forum. So as Western Carolina is a school in the Southern Conference, that's our athletic conference, but this is taking the idea of the conference that we're in and adding an academic layer to it. So students have the opportunity to present their work in the fall rather than the spring. And this is unique in that students may have conducted research in the summer prior to the fall, and they then want to showcase that, but they don't want to wait until the spring. So here you have an opportunity in the fall. And it's just the schools that are represented in the Southern Conference. There's schools from Tennessee, there's schools from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. So you could look up a list of all the Southern Conference schools if you guys really wanted to, but essentially it's just an academic component linked with that already known as an athletic conference or particular situation. The last piece of information that I would like to just spend some time sharing with you all today is the UNC Research and Creativity Symposium. Now this is unique to the entire state of North Carolina, but the affiliate institutions within the state, their students, populations of individuals have the opportunity to present research at a particular location in any given year. I know some of this past spring opportunities were canceled due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. So that was unfortunate, but these opportunities do exist. And so I just wanted to help showcase and reveal to you all that are in the participants pool today that you can have these opportunities, and there are a lot of ways to connect with them, which I'll also cover at the end of this particular session. But now I would like to transition it over to Paul.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Adam. Yeah, so to talk a little bit about UNC Wilmington, similar, I'll spend 30 seconds talking about our school. So obviously UNC Wilmington, we're on the other side of the state from App and Western. We're located in Wilmington, North Carolina, about 10 minutes from Wrightsville Beach and the Atlantic Ocean. In terms of an academic institution, we are currently just sitting under 18,000 total students. But what's important about that is about 15 to 16,000 of those are undergraduates. So we are a predominant undergraduate institution, similar to my colleagues here, which means that a lot of our resources go towards and are devoted to our undergraduate students. And that includes our research capabilities, excuse me. What I wanted to touch on today is talk a little bit about our opportunities with our STEM programs and then also some of our additional research opportunities as well. But of course, you know, when students think of science or research, they oftentimes do, you know, attribute that to science. I went to UNCW myself and graduated in 2016. I was a marine biology major, so I was the very cliche beach-focused student down here at Wilmington, but I did a lot of undergraduate research, 2.5 years worth. And I absolutely love my experiences. And what we really stress at UNC Wilmington is not just the analysis side of research that you may think of, but really the whole idea of creating a research project. And Adam and Emmeline have talked a little bit about this, but it's not just performing the research in a lab setting, but it's also about theoretically designing a project, completing that project, and then presenting that project. And that's just as much of the research process, if not more important, than the actual research that you might do by yourself. Okay, so at UNCW, we really teach you from day one on those different parts of the research process, whether it's designing a project and making sure that it's within a scope that's feasible for you to complete, or having the resources and the data tools to complete the research and collect data. And then finally, of course, having the appropriate presentation or conference-like setting where you're going to be, you know, disseminating that information to a group of people. Okay, on the screen here are just a few of our screenshots from STEM projects this past year. On the top left, we have a shortboard survey that one of our faculty members has been working on. Obviously, you know, we have a lot of coastal and environmental issues that are taking place on our coasts. And so we have a number of our faculty that are focused specifically on the ecosystems that are found adjacent to our marine environments. Speaking of marine environments, you know, it wouldn't be UNCW if we didn't sell the water a little bit. And, you know, on the top right, we have a photo of one of our marine biology classes out on the Atlantic Ocean doing some trawling expeditions for research-based surveys. So this could in fact be you in the yellow jacket there, you know, taking advantage of some of our classes that undergraduates can get out in the water and understand how these you know, processes take place. A little bit more closer to home though, on campus we have a number of you know, in-building facilities. Bottom left is our one of our brand new anatomy and physiology labs. So we have spaces where students can learn and interact with you know, these types of environments and understand, you know, these concepts that sometimes might be conceptually a little bit difficult to learn from just on a slide. And then on our bottom right is actually a field survey class that's taking place in our pine forest on campus. So we're not just ocean related, we focus on a lot of stuff as well. But the thing I'd like to stress is that you can see screenshots of all the different stages of the scientific process here. And I'll touch on a little bit more of that as I continue. Adam touched on this during his presentation, and it's certainly a theme at UNC Wilmington as well. But the idea, I'll start with my last bullet point actually, of interdisciplinary combinations, okay? This is very, very important and something that we stress as well at UNC Wilmington, because more than ever, research in the modern world, in the modern society, does not exist in a vacuum. Okay, so you might be an expert in business or history or marine biology, but if you can't explain that and make it relevant to students and people who are not interested in those areas and don't have a background in those areas, then you know, you might not be doing yourself a lot of favor. So we really teach that from day one and encourage students to have an interdisciplinary focus, being able to not only teach and explain their research to other people, but potentially bring in elements that traditionally may have not been combined with one another. Other examples of big research on our campus include our business school. Our business program is very popular on campus. We have lots of students that are completing economic analysis on campus, whether that be trends with past business, business practices, or marketing and doing more consumer-based, analyses. So why are, millennials buying this product as opposed to, Gen Z who are buying this product, right? We have a lot of students that are interested in those dynamic shifts amongst demographics and what that would look like for the business programs. Social sciences is, of course, huge as well. Psychology, as well as things like political science, are very, very prevalent right now. Obviously, in our current society, that can be, said for itself. But we have a number of students that are learning not only the in-depth research practices that might come with psychology, with some of our testing facilities that you see in the center photo here, but also, survey data and a number of those other policies that take place, across the county and the globe, really. Knowing how to interact with people in a non-lab setting. And that's very, very important, making sure that you can maintain accurate and scientifically sound data collection. Finally, I also love talking about our media analysis and examples of research that you may not think are traditional research areas, but we have more and more students that come in from some of these non-traditional research backgrounds, communication studies or digital arts, and create a research project. And that could be as simple as, establishing, we had a student last semester look at the influence of Instagram influencers. And if that's a good thing, if that's a bad thing, what does that mean for our global society? How does that affect younger generations? And so that can be a full-on research project where you might not be sitting in a lab and working with, a scientific process, but it's still a very in-depth analysis-like process in which you can create tangible information that you could then share with other people. So we always can keep you in mind that if you have an idea or a really passionate area of study that you think, you might be interested in, you can certainly focus on that here at UNCW or any of our institutions that are presenting today. And like my colleagues, they shared a little bit about their facilities on campus. I did want to spend a second just to talk about the few things that UNCW does to support our undergraduate research interests. The first is what we call our FIRE experience, or first year research experience. And this is a partnership that we have for freshmen in which faculty, typically dozens of faculty every single semester, will ask for freshmen to get involved with research in their lab their very first spring semester on campus. So typically come in the fall, and your second semester on campus, you could have generally up to a 3-credit DIS, which I'll explain here in a second, or a credit-based research class that you'll take with this faculty member. So our faculty will list their interests, whether it be in biology or history or business, and you can simply volunteer to become a research assistant in their facility. And this is an awesome way to kind of get involved in the process, see if you like research, and then it can kind of, like I say, snowball into greater things as an upperclassman on campus. The DIS experiences stand for Directed Independent Study Experiences. And these are generally classes that, as an upperclassman, you may have access to working one-on-one with a faculty member on our campus. So let's say you start with your freshman year and you find a faculty member that's really, you and them click a lot, and they ask you to come back the following semesters. Many faculty can offer DIS credits, which can range from 3 to 6 hours, depending on how many hours a week you're putting in that lab. And you'd basically be an assistant in their lab, maybe collecting data, analyzing data, writing small parts of an analysis report. And again, these are all excellent skills that students will be able to build and then you able to utilize as you go into your future careers or graduate programs. So as opposed to taking a number of upper level elective classes, many students at UNCW may elect to go into this DIS experience track, and it allows you to get a lot more of that research specific experience as an upperclassman on campus. We have some gorgeous research facilities as well, that, like our colleagues mentioned. All of our campuses have spaces prepped for you. At UNCW, we have a number of our spaces specifically for our coastal and environmental science students. The main one that many students look for is our Center for Marine Science, which is a multi-million-dollar facility right on the Intercoastal Waterway here in Wilmington. So it's about 15 minutes south of our main campus, but easily accessible by our transportation. And it will allow upperclassmen generally to have research facilities on campus. We have a shellfish hatchery on campus for students completing research there, seawater facilities, research vessels, and it allows you to really get that upperclassmen experience of high-level research. I took a number of classes and completed a research over there as a student myself, and I felt like a very real scientist, and it gave me a great insight into what a future career in science may look like. Additionally, we have a number of study abroad opportunities, and I know we touched on this earlier, but campus and all of our institutions have partnerships across the state and across the nation, but I'm sure many of us, I can speak for the majority of us, that also have partnerships across the globe. I know for UNC Wilmington, we have partnerships with business schools in Western Europe, as well as a number of environmental research agencies in Australia. Thank you. Australia. And so we have students that will spend a semester at these abroad institutions, earn credit, take classes, and bring that back to UNCW. So if that's an interest of yours, let's say you're focused in a very specific, economic interest in a Western city, or Western European city, I should say, or like you want to study the Great Barrier Reef in, Australia, those are awesome things that you can definitely take advantage of at our institution. And then finally, CSURF. I know Emmeline talked a little bit about her office that does this. I'm sure Adam has, he mentioned similar ones as well. CSURF is our version, which stands for the Center for Support of Undergraduate Research and Fellowships, okay? And it has everything that my colleagues mentioned in terms of funding opportunities, poster presentation help, and, funding help. They host a number of webinars and conferences that are national and attended by world-class faculty and professionals every single year. So you have access to all of this beginning on day one as a student at UNCW. And it's just up to you to kind of take advantage of what you're interested in. They do a number of workshops to help students become highly competitive for some of these national scholarships and fellowships. A number of ones that we are very competitive for include the Hollings Scholar and the Goldwater Scholarships, which are large environmental science and marine biology scholarships. So those are all opportunities that students have access to. And if you go to CSURF on our main website, you can just search UNCW CSURF. You can find a list and documents of all these resources that we have available as well. So I'm going to turn it back over here to Adam to kind of conclude us up before we answer some questions.
The last slide that we wanted to share with you all, now that you've seen what undergraduate research looks like at 3 very different institutions within North Carolina, this last piece of information is applicable to all 3 of our institutions in students' lived experiences, but also wherever you ultimately decide to attend college. The first point is applicable in many, many different ways in life. But in terms of undergraduate research, I'm speaking on just on behalf of my colleagues and myself, our experience in these opportunities were not simply them dropping into our laps. We had to seek them out on our own accord, network with our mentors, faculty, staff, professors, the whole 9 yards, to identify opportunities for us to pursue this interest. And so that's where this whole process begins, in my own opinion, is being proactive in your efforts at connecting to them. The next step is identifying your own unique interests. You're going to declare a major at an institution that you attend. It's important for you to identify, one, if that's the correct major for you, spend some time in that major, but also if it is the correct path and it's the one that you truly enjoy, find unique facets of it that you truly connect with. And then that can be a starting point for you to look at research opportunities with those areas that you're interested in. The third point is a very, very critical piece. All of these are very important, but the next one is sort of a bridge between you as an individual and opportunities that can occur in the future. And that's your connection with faculty and staff. These individuals, in my own experience, and I'm sure that my colleagues would agree, I had some extremely supportive faculty members as well as staff members who were able to expand upon my limited understanding of opportunities that were out there for me to connect to my undergraduate research or research interests in general. Seek outlets for sharing your knowledge. And we've mentioned in several different instances these opportunities through undergraduate research conferences, or even working in a lab, or even in the ocean in Paul's case. So understanding what outlets may exist for you is another next critical step. One of the things that I mentioned in my particular information is this National Conference on Undergraduate Research. That is a connecting point for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people every single year. You don't have to be in a particular major to participate in that opportunity. So technically it can serve as a step one when you guys eventually get to this point, if you're interested in doing this. And then last, but most certainly not least, is how do we pay for this? If that's an opportunity for us to engage with, what funding is available? And there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to this. In fact, it may involve you being more proactive in identifying what funding is available to you. But this is where all the previous points come into play. Networking with faculty and staff, as they may be more knowledgeable about funding for you, or may even be able to provide you with funding from the department level or the institution as a whole. Outside of that, the actual conference or opportunity in and of itself may provide grants or scholarships for you to attend particular events. So at the end of the day, it all goes back to point one of being proactive and understanding if this is an outlet for you. There are many paths you can take. It's just understanding all the ones that are an option.
Perfect. Thank you, Adam. So that concludes our kind of formal presentation. I believe we have about 10 minutes before we will conclude the session. So for any of the students that are here today with us, if you have some questions that you'd like answered, feel free to use the Q&A button as Molly described in the beginning. We'll see those and we can answer them as they come up. We also have all of our contact information here on the slide. So after today, if something that Emmeline said, you're like, oh my God, that sustainability thing sounds super cool, you can email either her or some of the resources she talked about. Feel free to contact us at any point in time and we'll be happy to connect you as well. But we'll take the next couple minutes here to answer any questions that may come up in the Q&A. Another quick plug I'll throw in there as people may be typing. All of our institutions are going to have plenty of virtual resources available over the next, if not already, but definitely over the next coming weeks. We, of course, do these CACRAO presentations where we share spaces, but if you have lots of in-depth questions about, let's say, Western or App or UNC Wilmington, I would first recommend you check out our websites because we likely have some more in-depth information and videos about some of these opportunities that we discussed today. But more importantly too, we'll also be likely completing what we call CACRAO information sessions, which are going to be just specific to one institution. So as opposed to hearing from the three of us, maybe you are more interested in one versus the other, you can attend these information sessions and get a lot more specific information about each institution. We'll also be covering, more information about the application process and recommendations for each university. So make sure to check. I'm sure that those will be listed on the StriveScan website as well. If you have questions about, a specific program or anything like that, we'll be having plenty more of these opportunities where you can join a Zoom call and get more information about that.
And I know that we mentioned that the meeting or the session will be recorded, but with us stopping at this particular slide, if you want to make sure that you have this information down, and you'll be able to access it through the recorded session, of course. But if you at this time can't think of any questions or an exact question, or don't know how to phrase the question that you want to answer to, you can at least contact us. We can be a starting point. And if we can't be a direct answer, we'll put you in touch with people who can. So there is a question that popped up. We can jump back into each other in terms of answering this. It was asked, what is the biggest benefit of undergraduate research? It's a great question. I would say that I might have a hard time identifying just one single benefit, if I'm entirely honest with you. One of the things that I learned personally about myself through this process is that it's this idea of taking something that you find interesting and showcasing it in such a way that others can also see how intriguing and or beneficial it is. So taking something that you know a lot about, but all forming others who may know not as much or none at all. So making it fun, taking large pieces of information and then turning out a product that is both relatable in certain instances, but then of course digestible. That's probably the best way to put it.
Kind of going off of what Adam said, this is just a personal note. It's exciting for students to have this opportunity and to get involved and to learn more about all of their interests. But in my opinion, one of the most beneficial things is kind of the after effect of that undergrad research. Making connections is so important in your undergraduate time and carrying those over. And these relationships that you're going to be making with faculty members are going to be so beneficial down the road. Maybe whenever you start your career, you're looking for a reference. Maybe whenever you're trying to get into a specific job, they're going to be able to vouch for you. Whatever it is, it's definitely so beneficial to have those networking connections within the faculty relationship. And this is one great way to make those connections.
Yeah, those are both great answers. And I would agree with them wholeheartedly. I think my favorite experience that I had and what I was grateful for in participating in undergraduate research was the ability to see an applicable setting where a lot of your knowledge comes to play. So oftentimes when you're in a class or a lecture throughout, whether it's high school or college, you're learning a lot of the skills, but sometimes it can be difficult to see how they actually apply into the setting that you may want to see, actually use them. And research is that setting. Research allows you to take your background knowledge and say, okay, how do I make something, and like Adam really well put, make it digestible and relatable, something that people can actually interpret and utilize. So I think that's a really, really important skill, because while the knowledge is, of course, your foundation for your success in your future, learning how to use that knowledge in an effective way is really, really important. And there's lots of ways you can do that, and it will look different for each major. But undergraduate research in general puts you in an environment that allows you to take advantage of those opportunities. And you'll have faculty that coach you and help you along the way. But those are certainly experiences that I think will help anyone move forward and find what they want to do. I'll use myself as an example. I did plenty of research in a lab. And after that, I realized that I really didn't want to be in a lab after doing all that research. And so while a lot of people may see that as a wasted time, I was really, really grateful that I had that as an undergraduate, and it helped me narrow the next step I wanted to take after my undergrad. So plenty of opportunities that you can take away from those experiences for sure.
There's another question that was presented. Can you do research that might seem unrelated to your major? Absolutely. So that would stem from, first, your overall interest in just being involved in research. If you're willing to do that at a level that's outside of your major, then kudos to you. But yes, I've never heard of an experience where a student wouldn't be able to do research that's not intrinsically linked to their particular major. So that would just be time management at that point. So.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you always have opportunities for minors or even an extracurricular activity, adding that to your resume, just saying that you've worked in a research setting, that can always be good. And maybe it's something, as opposed to a lot of the things where we talked about might be major projects for a semester, a year, even if it's just a smaller project that you work on that helps you, something that's interesting to you, certainly you could do that. All right, so we have 2 more minutes before we turn it over back to Molly. So if there's any last minute questions, feel free to send them in now. Otherwise, save them and feel free to email any of us, or we'd be happy to answer those questions. And like I say, check out our resources on our websites as well.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. Can you guys see that slide? I think I went one too far. Okay, thank you for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at CACRAO.org, CACRAO.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find the sessions recording as well as all of the other session recordings at CACRAO.org, CACRAO.org. Thank you.